Today I will try to prove you that the fact they remained a single-player company is not a minus. It's a plus, and even more, without a single company we will learn more about the world of Battlefield 2042. I will not say no one plays it, and what is better when the developers who were engaged in the single player will do multiplayer. This is obvious to everyone, so I will tell you something new. First, let's take a look at the single-player companies in Battlefield series over the past 10 years. Starting with Battlefield 3. I found several articles from 2011 from Warriors News, outlets and forums, and they all said that the company was not so good, and Modern Warfare 3 that came out with Battlefield 3 has a way better campaign. Yes, you might remember it great, but in fact it was just shootouts with bots, which were sometimes interrupted by cool cutscenes, and the game itself was cliché, save the world plot. Do not forget that over time the sharp edges of your memories are smoothed. Smooth.
Smoothed.
Smoothed. Smoothed out. And what you answer thought is simply stunning, in fact may not be so great. God, many old men and women from the six countries still bless the USSR with its repressions, hunger, poverty and complete lack of democracy. But now it's not about that. The next on the list we have Battlefield 4. I'm sorry, but the same thing. Yes, this game has awesome multiplayer, but single player campaign is just a cliché about those Americans saving the world. Next comes Battlefield Hardline, Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5. And despite the fact that in principle they are playable, company in Battlefield 1 is quite good, especially its starting scene. But we all have to admit that this is just bot shooting, cutscene, and that's all. It will take a maximum of 8 hours of our time, while the development of the campaign lasted months and maybe even a full year. But that's not even the point. The Last of Us campaign also lasts about 8 hours. But Last of Us is a priority single-player game, and it was made not by marketers, but by artists, screenwriters and other creative people. So we smoothly move to the main reason. The multiplayer in Battlefield series was always made not by scriptwriters and artists, but by marketers. There is a certain scenario in which all Battlefield campaigns go, and a DICE or other studio employee who wanted to do something more, make it more interesting, come up with some new kind of new story or something like that. They just did not have the opportunity to translate their ideas due to the limitations and the high cost of creating an open world, characters and all this stuff. Many of the maps that appeared in the Battlefield plot were never used in multiplayer, but the time was spent in their development. The bottom line is that we had a
mediocre.
The bottom line is that we had a mediocre company with a mediocre plot, maybe a dramatic ending, and what are we doing? We forget the plot and run to play multiplayer that is not substantiated by anything. Take a look at the multiplayer of any part of Battlefield. It's just an unfounded mess with no characters, no backstory, nothing. Why are we fighting? Oh, because of the war. And with whom and why exactly here? Well, how do we know? After all, we spent our energy on a single company that no one needs anyway. Now let's take a look at Battlefield 2042, which doesn't have a story company. At the official website we have a separate tab World of 2042, where we can find out what kind of the world we live in, who we play, why we play, what happens in general. We know the history of the places where we play, what happened there and why. In previous parts of Battlefield, we were simply sent to some kind of map. It is not clear where, it is not clear why, and just fight. At the same time, Battlefield 2042 allows me to learn the entire background from our time to 2042. We learned about the collapse of the European Union, about the rise of no-pets, about the new natural disasters. You can read some interesting story of each battlefield where you will fight. While I'm recording this video, there are only 3 stories. But in the end there will be 7 of them, about every place where hostilities will take place. Imagine this in Battlefield 543. But for that there's a story campaign for 4 hours. Hurrah! After which there is a multiplayer for hundreds of hours without a hint of justification for what is happening at all. I really like the concept of Fortnite in this case, where they not only throw players on the island and give the command to fight, but every season they explain the plot of what is happening and why. If a similar concept will be in Battlefield 2042, where every season they will do some kind of event or movie, then it will be just incredible. By the way, that's right, the film. Show me another Battlefield where the developers will show us a short film about the game action. It is 100 times cooler than all the story campaigns that we had. Of course, we have not yet seen the film itself, but just the fact of its existence surprised me insanely. And the game has not even been released yet. We will learn a lot more about its world both before and after release. And the most important thing I want to tell, the stories that we saw in previous parts of the Battlefield are not made by creative people. But as I already said, they are made by marketers for the sake of a tick. The result is on the face. At the same time, reading stories from the world of Battlefield 2042, despite the fact that these are just text with illustrations, they are much more interesting than it was to go through, for example, a campaign in Battlefield 4 or 5. The text costs are less than a huge map, game and all that stuff, so I think the abandonment of a single player will only give a greater impetus to the development of a plot of the Battlefield series.